Hi, everyone. Welcome to another WESK webinar. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Carly, and I am WESK's social media coordinator. For all those who aren't familiar with WESK, we empower female entrepreneurs to start, grow, and scale their businesses. We have a ton of different services to help you on your journey, including business advising, financing, events, and training. Right now, we are offering free webinars every Wednesday on a variety of different business topics. Today, as part of our Business Growth Luncheon Series, which is offered in partnership with the NSBA and Economic Development Regina, our topic is Creating True Wealth. The webinar today is presented by Tara C., Director of Grow Personal Development Services, and Michael Isbister, Associate Consultant at RH Kilburn and Associates Private Wealth Management. If you have any questions today for Tara and Michael as we go through the presentation, please just submit them in the Q&A box, not the regular chat box. There are a couple handouts for today's presentation. I posted the link in the chat box. If you haven't downloaded them, please do so. As always, this webinar is recorded and will be available for on-demand viewing. You'll receive an email copy tomorrow. Okay, thank you, Tara and Michael, for joining us. Please start whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Carly, and thank you, WESK, for hosting us. I'm going to share my screen. There we go. All right, so my name is Tara C. I'm the founder of Grow Personal Development Services, and Michael and I are here to talk to you about creating true wealth. Generally, we would have this workshop over an hour and a half or 2 hour period, so it's going to be much quicker than that, and that's where you have the information in the handouts. I encourage you to take notes and write down any questions that you have for later. And if you are going to go through this later, which I hope you do, to block out 2 to 3 hours of time or 2 to 3 1 hour periods, just so you can get really clear on who you are, what you want, and how you're going to get there. So now, what brings me here today is my sole mission is to help people find the best methods to be their best and most productive self. And that stems from my sole purpose of helping people to create holistic wellness, or in other words, their definition of true wealth. A little bit about me, I started with a Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology. I became a certified personal trainer. After I convocated, I became a certified exercise physiologist, which allowed me to work with people with injuries and health conditions. I then became a certified strength and conditioning specialist, which allowed me to work with athletes, and then registered yoga teacher. I completed a Master of Business Administration, and then more recently became a certified holistic coach. As we go through this workshop and as you're working through your handouts, if you haven't read the book, The 4 Agreements, I recommend it. It's by Don Miguel Ruiz. The first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. And I'm just going to read you a little bit from the book about that. The word is a force. It is the power you have to express and communicate, to think and thereby create the events in your life. But like a sword with 2 edges, your word can create the most beautiful dream, or your word can destroy everything around you. One edge is the misuse of word, which creates a living hell. The other edge is the impeccability of the word, which will only create beauty, love, and heaven on earth. Depending on how you use it, the word can set you free, or it can enslave you more than you know. The second agreement is don't take anything personally. Often, the things that we don't like in other people are things that we don't like in ourselves, and vice versa. And so just recognizing that it's not personal, it's whatever's going on with that person. Not to make assumptions. We like to create stories about what's happening. I really like Brene Brown's in Dare to Lead. She talks about when addressing assumptions, she'll start the conversation with, I'm telling myself the story that. and then stating the assumption. And it allows you to address that assumption before it turns into something that it doesn't need to be. And then finally, doing your best, and doing your best for where you are now in this moment, not how you were a minute ago, an hour ago, a day ago. It's where you are right now. And doing your best is going to look very different if you're not feeling well compared to when you're healthy and you're excited about life. So the first poll I'm going to ask is, do you have any regrets? And I ask this, Carly, is the poll launching? There you go, thank you. The reason I ask this is just to give you an idea of where you see yourself right now. If you're holding on to things in the past, it's really hard to be present and to actually continue to move forward. Wait a few more seconds and then get those results. Oh, awesome. Yeah. So awesome for the people, a lot of people don't have regrets, and that's perfect. And it's very much about a mindset. I will say I like Mark Manson's distinguished, or just can't even say the word right now, but he distinguishes between a regret and a mistake. So mistake is something that we've learned from and we've integrated into our life, whereas a regret is something that we haven't learned from yet and we have not yet integrated into our lives. There is no shame in life's struggle. It's how we handle that struggle that determines the outcome. And I like this because it reminds us that we have a choice to react or to respond. And as we go through struggles, to give ourselves grace, to give ourselves permission to grieve the situation, and then to give yourself permission to move on from that. And now, before we continue with the rest of the workshop, I'm going to ask you to take a minute to sit up nice and tall, to ground your feet flat on the ground. If you're in a place where you are wearing shoes and you want to take them off, that's great. If you feel comfortable closing your eyes, and just start to bring your awareness to your breath. Notice if you have a really shallow breath, see if you can make that a little bit deeper. And these are nice, full, but relaxed breaths. While you're here, I ask that you give yourself permission to know yourself, to give yourself permission to want what you want, to give yourself permission to put yourself and your needs first. And I ask that you give yourself permission to take care of yourself. Bringing your awareness back to your breath. And then when you're ready, gently starting to open your eyes and bring your awareness back to the room. We're going to go through these 5 aspects of true wealth. And I just like to point out in the picture that the crown is you and you're in the center, and all those different aspects integrate into who you are. So our second poll, do you identify as who you are or what you do? So often we tie our identity to the role that we play. So it might be a parent, you might be a mother or a father, you might be an accountant, you might be an entrepreneur, and recognizing that it's those qualities that make you good at what you do or make you do the things you do in the way that you do because of those qualities. The other reason it's important to recognize the qualities as opposed to the role that you play is that our roles change. And if we're tied to that role, it's really hard to move forward. There are the results. Perfect. Depends, yeah. Thank you. So identity. So first, we're going to look at core qualities and core values. So here are a number of words. If you know your core qualities and core values, you can write them down. So core qualities being the distinctive attributes or characteristics possessed by someone, which would be you, or something. And then core values, the fundamental beliefs of a person. So if you know them, great. If there are words here that pique your interest, write them down. And either way, I encourage you to later look up the definitions to make sure that those words are what resonate most for you for those qualities or values. Top 5 priorities. I encourage you, if you're not in your top 5, to seriously start to consider bringing yourself up the list and eventually to number 1. If you are not your top priority and you're putting other things or other people before you, at some point, if you're not feeling well, it's really hard to take care of those priorities that are above you if you haven't taken care of yourself. So if you're sick, are you going to be able to do your job to your best ability? Are you able to take care of your family to your best of your ability? The really nice thing about knowing what your top 5 priorities are is it can make decision making more easy, and you'll know what's important to you. Oh, and it helps reduce your stress as well because you know what you value. The secret of change is focusing all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And the next part of this is going to be, what do you want? And if you didn't pursue what you want, that ideal life, what is the cost of not living that life? And then moving forward, what is the life that you're creating for yourself? So whether you continue on the path that you're on, or if you want to make changes, how is that going to look? And some of those things will include, so the lifestyle that you want, the people you want in your life, that could be your occupation, the experiences that you're looking to have, and where you want to be. And then recognizing, is this what you truly want, or is this something that society or any other external influence is telling you that you should want? Don't get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. Next, we're going to move into self-care. So what is self-care? It could be a bath, it could be exercise, it could be meditation, journaling. They're the things that help you to be at your best so you can feel like yourself, so that you can get the most out of your day and so that you can serve others to the best of your capacity. And then the best way to approach that is by listening to your body. Earlier this week, I think it was, there's an email sent out by WESK. Adrian Van Gool wrote a blog about self-care and boundaries. And if you haven't read it already, I encourage you to check that out. Next, we'll go through the areas of wellness. And so as we go through this, if you have your handout, you can write down on a scale of 1 to 10 how satisfied or abundant you are in each of these areas. So 1 being the least and 10 being the most. And then if there's something that comes to mind that would improve or increase that level of satisfaction or abundance in that area, you can write that down. And it doesn't mean you're going to do all of the things right now. It just gives you a starting place. So if physically, let's say you rated that a 4 and everything else is like maybe a 6 or a 7, then it's a really good starting place to start with the physical thing that will help increase your level of satisfaction, because it's going to impact all those other areas more than if you, let's say you fight creatively, you felt a really high level of satisfaction or abundance. If you continue to work on that, that's great, but it's not going to have as much impact on those other areas. So when I talk about creative, I'm talking about, do you feel free to express yourself, and do you have a channel to do that? So it could be writing, it could be drawing, painting, it could be dancing. however you express yourself. Emotionally, do you allow yourself to feel emotions? And can you sit with that, process it, and then let it go? Or do you try and suppress everything? Environmental is more in reference to your home, your work, any activities that you might go to, maybe a favorite restaurant or a coffee shop. Are those environments healthy or are they toxic? And then what are the steps we can take to make those less healthy environments more healthy? Is it a matter of having a conversation with someone? What are those steps that we can take? Financial, not so much about how much money you make, but with the income that you have, are you living the life that you want to be living? And so when you go see someone like Michael, if you know the life that you're trying to create for yourself, it can help him navigate whether or not your financial aspirations are in line with the life that you are trying to create. Intellectually, are you mentally stimulated? And it might be through your work, but if you find that you're bored and kind of lacking excitement in life, maybe it's you need to learn a new skill, or maybe it's something that you used to do that you'd like to get back into. But finding those different avenues, maybe joining a book club to find that intellectual stimulation if that's something that's missing in your life. Mental, so how do you talk to yourself? What are your stress coping mechanisms? Occupational, do you like your job? And if you don't like your job, maybe it's a means to an end, or is it a time for a change? Anytime you have big decisions to make in your life, I recommend 2 to 4 weeks to sort through and process whether or not it's the right decision for you, so that the emotions can subside and you can make a rational decision. Physical, that is everything from hydration, nutrition, movement or exercise, and sex. Social, this is where I often bring boundaries in. Do you have enough time with your friends, family, coworkers, and community networks? If it's too much, then learning to set those boundaries. And if it's not enough, then learning to reach out so that you can make that happen. And then spiritually, so it might be a connection with a higher power, your higher self. If you're religious, that might tie into it too. At the end of the day, often when I talk about spiritual, it's, do you feel connected with the essence of who you are? And then as you go through this, is your mind telling you what to do and you're checking the boxes? Or are you listening to your heart and your gut for what your body is asking for? All the time we hear, oh yeah, I went to the gym. And then a lot of complaining about going to the gym. And if when you go to the gym, you don't feel good after, then it's time to look for another physical activity that you might actually enjoy. It'll feel good for you. Health is a state of body, wellness is a state of being. Next, looking into service. Small acts, when multiplied by millions of people, can transform the world. So our final poll for today, do you know your life purpose? And you may or may not, and it might change, and that's okay, but there is a lot of value and feeling like you have something that you're working towards. This is one of the most common areas of focus for people as they retire. There are a lot of purposes that are kind of given to us throughout our lives, but one of the most challenging is once you retire, often we don't have kids at home, and so having something to look forward to throughout our day is really important. Awesome. Oh, lovely. And if you're not sure, that's okay. And then hopefully this will help you figure that out. So the first part is your vision. And often I think of vision as a strategy, long-term strategy. And so something to think about. So what is your legacy? How do you want to be remembered? And I encourage you to actually sit with this and take some time with it and write out a vision statement for yourself. Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Your mission, I think, of more of the tactics, the steps that you're going to take to achieve your strategy or your vision. So how do you want to serve? What do you feel that you're here to do? My mission in life is not to merely survive, but to thrive and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. And I love this quote because it shows very much how Maya is a part of her mission and it's not separate from her. And then finally, so your purpose and your intention behind your mission and your vision. So why are you pursuing this mission? Why this vision? And then where does that passion come from? Everyone has the same life purpose, which is the quest of happiness for oneself and for others. And I partially disagree with this statement. However, I put it in here because research does show that we are happier when we do things for others. And there are a number of videos that came out, especially during COVID, of kids in particular giving to others. Research also shows that when we spend money on others, that it's happier and longer lasting happiness than if we would have spent it on ourselves. And the next, planning. Planning is bringing the future into the present so that we can do something about it now. And this is exactly why we created this presentation. So when you're planning, how are you going to achieve your true wealth? What is the plan or the process that you're going to put in place? What are the resources and tools that can help you? And then who can support you in that? And I like to think of the plan just like a game plan in sport. Is you can have something written down, but at the end of the day, you have to, when you're running that play, you have to pay attention to what's going on in the field and read the field or the ice or the turf, wherever you are, to play the game. I lost my train of thought. And then this way too, so just like in a game, we can anticipate a play. So we can anticipate those life transitions that are coming up for us. And then so we can, as those come up, we can enjoy the end of those times, and then we can look forward to the new beginnings. So we can enjoy being in the moment and having that really incredible touchdown. But then we look forward to the next play and that next moment so we can do that again. And accountability. Good men are bound by conscience and liberated by accountability. So knowing your short list, your team, your people, those people that you value and you respect and they respect you. They're not going to just tell you what you want to hear. They're going to help you progress, as opposed to some people that may try and pull you back. By helping to address self-sabotaging behaviors, then that will help you progress forward, is because they're self-sabotaging, then it's going to hold you back from achieving what you are looking to achieve. Language is probably one of the most important things, not only for yourself, but then the people around you. Lifestyle practice or daily habits will help you to achieve your goals. If you haven't set them up so that you can be successful, then it's time to reevaluate, which is also the next step. So you might reevaluate as it comes up. So you might have a gratitude practice, but if you don't feel gratitude as you're doing it, it might be time to change up how you're using your gratitude practice. You might have set weekly, monthly, or every 6 to 12 months goals for reevaluation. Anything else I mentioned about that? And then support and resources, it really depends on what you're looking for, but therapists, trainers, coaches, advisors, family, friends, coworkers, your network, both community and professionally, are always available. And then other tools that can be available are things like living like today was your last, knowing that we're meant to live a human experience and giving yourself permission or allowing yourself to live what's true for you, breathing exercises, believing in what you're pursuing. If you don't believe what you're trying to achieve, it's really hard for other people to believe that for you. Savoring the moment, time affluence, so having the time for the things that are important to you. Affirmations or mantras can also be really helpful. True wealth is not of the pocket, but of the heart and the mind. And so in summary of this part, connect to your true identity, take care of yourself so that you can live your best life every day. Live your vision, mission, and purpose. Make a plan so that you have a process of living your best life. So go with the flow and then adapt and change as needed. Put measures in place to be accountable, create a lifestyle practice, and ask for help. Live your life, learn from it, and then let go of what no longer serves you. And I have a list of true wealth. So it can reduce stress, help with decision making, better time management, healthier relationships, can help increase happiness and well-being, confidence, productivity, quality of life, and it can help you be more present and have smoother life transitions. And if you take anything away today, know that you are whole, you are enough, you are capable, you are worthy, and you are loved. Live your best life for you and create your definition of true wealth. So I will stop sharing and Michael will take over.
All right. I think I'd have this figured out by now. There we go. All right. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Tara, for that. That was good, and I think there's going to be some good takeaways and some parallels that I'll be able to segue into here with my portion. So thank you very much for investing your time today in our True Wealth seminar. Time is a valuable currency, so I do appreciate everyone joining us today. I'm going to give a quick introduction to myself here. So again, Michael Isbister. I'm a certified financial planner. I'm kind of addicted to educating myself. I actually just finished my Chartered Life Underwriter designation. I got the marks back today. I think education is an integral part of both being a good financial planner and passing knowledge on to my clients. I've been with IG Wealth Management for over 10 years, and 5 of those years have been with RH Kilburn and Associates. I'm a volunteer teacher at the Global Gathering Place, and I specialize in the creation of synchronized financial plans and creating long-term relationships with my clients. So what I want to talk about today, and I really want to peel back some layers on your generic or your general wealth management process, and really start digging into each one of these to give them a little bit more meaning. So if you've worked with an advisor or you've created your own kind of action plan to create a financial plan, you might recognize some of these. So I will walk through each of them. So the first one is just exploring your current situation, getting to know you and having a relationship with you, clarifying your goals and objectives. What do you want to achieve in a 5, 10, 15-year time span? Developing a comprehensive plan and looking at all aspects of your financial well-being, creating a customized investment plan, implementing holistic strategies that go far beyond just retirement planning or estate planning. It's looking at all financial aspects of your life, and then proactively monitoring and adjusting those. So today, I'm not going to bore you with conversations about what's an RRSP, what's a tax-free savings account, what's a mutual fund, all those types of things. What I want to spend a little bit more time on is trying to develop a healthier relationship with your finances and the decisions that you make and with your money. I believe strongly, and I think most of you would probably nod your head. This would probably be a good time for a poll, but I don't have a poll for you guys, sorry. You'd probably agree that, you know, finances potentially cause a lot of stress. And I think both personally, it can have stress in marriages, it can stress your family. So really having a more positive connection to your money and your wealth and why we make these financial decisions, I think are so incredibly important than just oh, I created a financial plan. Like, what is the meaning? What is the meaning of that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend some time going through each one of these factors and, again, peeling back the layers a little bit to understand what do each one of these mean to us emotional and personal basis, and how do we anchor ourselves into making positive financial decisions now and over time. So I'm gonna, as I go through this, I'm gonna run through kind of like a hypothetical of what each one of these may be. And again, when you look at the documents that I handed out for that takeaway, it's going to walk you through each one of these steps as well. So the first one is explore and finding your why. I know Tara mentioned this, and it's having that awareness and trying to find out why do we do the things that we do? Why do we save our money? Why do we sacrifice our time? Why do we do these things? I have three kind of key factors when you go through your financial journey. The first one being self-belief. The decisions that you make, you know, be confident in those decisions. You're going to go through ups and downs and failures, but having that self-belief and creating a plan goes a long way. Be persistent. So many people, you know, have a hard time with ups and downs and struggles, and just know that being persistent is incredibly important. And then lastly is gratitude. Celebrate all of the little financial victories and all of the big financial victories, because something that may be small to you might be large to somebody else. And it's important to take those wins when you can. Really what it comes down to is finding your passion and your purpose, and why are we creating this financial plan. So it can't just be necessarily to have another zero in your bank account. And for some of you, that might be your why, and that's fine. I'm not taking away from that. But for others, it's more of a deeper connection to maybe, you know, it's for my family. So let's use this as an example today. My why would be, I want my family to have a higher standard of living and more accessibility to resources that maybe I didn't have growing up. So that would be, I think that would be, personally, that would be my why. That would be my purpose. Why do I wake up every day and work hard and do all these types of things? That's my why. So what's your why? The next is goals, and speaking your goals into existence. You're going to see probably a lot of cringy, like little like be careful of what you think, because it comes true. We've all heard things like this, but I think they do actually ring true. The energy and the thoughts that we put out there into the universe do end up coming back to us. And I don't think that's hokey pokey. I think that's something that it's true. What you put out there, you will manifest. Now, one exercise that I really like to do with clients, and it helps to anchor back towards the reason why we do these things. So again, in my example, I said my reason why was to afford a better life for my family, let's say, right? And a part of that may be having my child go to post-secondary education. So, you know, take that moment and, you know, where Tara was talking about being self-aware and being grounded, do the same thing with this. You know, it's close your eyes and envision. You know, I have my son or daughter that is walking across that stage. They're shaking the dean's hand. They're accepting that diploma or that degree. Cameras are flashing. I'm smiling. I'm with my spouse. There's lots of people around us. Really try to immerse yourself in that vision to make it real. I think sometimes with these financial, when you speak to someone and say, well, save for retirement or save for your kids' education, it's really hard to know, like, what does that mean? Like, what is that? You know, it's like, it's 15 years away. I can't really picture it. So I actually I'm a strong believer in when you visualize those types of things, they become real. and it helps anchor back to that original purpose. So we've covered off the first two, finding your why and then kind of anchoring those goals back to that why. And the next two are developing a plan that's personalized to you and customizing. So these next two kind of segue into each other. So the first thing in this step is developing a formula that's for you. Everyone's situation is unique, and everyone's goals and objectives and reasons why are also unique, and so should your formula, right? So what may work for your sister-in-law and brother might not work for you and your spouse, or what works for you might not work for your friend that you work with. So just know that when you start developing a formula to achieve that goal, that it is your own, and not to, again, compare yourself to the Joneses, right? To compare yourself to somebody else. Make it your own, and have self-belief that in those decisions that you're making, you're moving down your own journey in life, and this formula that you put together is going to help you push towards those goals. Now, this is a really good exercise to start working towards those goals. I think, I know that a lot of people are intimidated by finances, and maybe they don't want to talk about it with anyone, their spouse or a financial advisor. And I just want you to know, if you're in that boat, that's super normal, and that's okay. That's okay to feel that way. It's very common. You're not alone. Going back to this developing a formula is, think of an action that you can do today to help manifest that goal into reality. And I think this can be applied into all aspects of our wellness, but if we're talking specifically about finances, something that's sustainable, and link some compromise to it. So I'll explain what I mean. First one, sustainability. I mean, we might say, okay, well, there's this goal, I'm going to start saving aggressively for it. Well, is that realistic? I'm going to save $1,000 a month, or maybe it's $50 a month. Think of a number when we're talking about on the finance side that is sustainable, that you can legitimately stick to, right? The next one is compromise. Now, I think there's a lot of value in this, because it starts to turn those distant goals that are 10, 15 years out into more like actionable items that we feel and sense on a daily or regular basis. So in my example, again, my reason why was to afford my family a better standard of living. My goal was to save for my kids' education. My formula is, I'm going to start doing a little bit of savings, and I'm going to save $50 a month, let's say, okay? Some small number that I know that's sustainable. What's my compromise? Well, let's say I enjoy shopping on Amazon, or I like drinking Starbucks, and I spend $100 a month on one of these activities, whatever it is, right? If my compromise is saying, okay, I'm only going to spend $50 a month on a mocha latte or on that Amazon package of stuff that I probably don't need. If I make those small sacrifices, it's going to now anchor you back again to that goal and back to your reason why we make these financial decisions. And again, I think it's really important because it brings the saving for your kids' education into the now, into the decisions you're making and feeling. Because I think a lot of times, I think there's that disconnect. It's like, well, why am I saving for retirement when I can go and get that coffee, or I can go for a golf round or do whatever, right? Having those compromises and making those sacrifices is going to solidify you even more so, and actually following through with this type of plan. So this one kind of does build off of my last slide there about just developing a plan and making it your own. And just know that everything, it's a journey, right? A couple more cheesy things here for you. You don't get dropped off at the top of the mountain, right? Just do know that as you go through this process, those little sacrifices and those little things that you do are going to get you to where you want to be. I really want to go to this slide here because I really enjoy this second part here. All decisions and actions we take, whether big or small, will have consequences on our future self. I wish I came up with that. I did not. That was actually a very wise man told me that, and I was actually very taken back at how much it actually applies to the day-to-day decisions that we make. Again, I think for most people, we don't really think about those small decisions or even the big ones about, hey, I want to go on a trip or something like that. What is the future impact of that, right? So if I go back to my scenario about I'm wanting to save for my kids' education, those, like, it seems like a small consequence. Like, well, I just want to get a couple more coffees a month, right? It's whatever. It's not that big of a deal. But now when you look at that future self and where you are now, all of those little decisions that you made along the way come back to roost, right? And I think in today's society where everything is, we don't really have to delay any gratification nowadays, right? It's like click a button, you get something that's delivered. You can pull up to a drive-through. You don't get out of your vehicle. I think it's very hard to envision that future self, especially when we're talking about smaller transactions. So I really encourage you to think about a compromise or something that you're willing to, quote unquote, sacrifice in your life, and apply that sacrifice, which is in this case is going to be a monetary sacrifice, to put towards one of those financial goals. And I think what you'll find is you might get addicted to this. I know personally, when I started creating, I know budget's like a swear word for people, but when I started thinking of budgeting and compromises and stuff, it really changed my relationship with money. And it really made me think about my purchases on a little bit of a deeper level, and not just discounting, oh, it's only a $5 this or a $10 that. It's really trying to think about, if I'm doing this today, what am I sacrificing in the future? Okay, now next is how do we implement and how do we be proactive? So again, I talked about, for most people, talking about finances is very difficult. Again, that is very common. What's even more common is getting past that hurdle of actually implementing something. And I think for all the entrepreneurs on here, we all know, like, when you're creating like that perfect campaign, or you just wrote this perfect automation, or you have this business plan, you've spent so much time in your mind creating this goal and this idea of what it's going to be, that now implementing it is now the scary part, because it's like, oh, now it's out there. Can I put this out there? Will it be successful? So relating that entrepreneurial journey back to like this financial journey, this is very common as well. People get to this point where they know what they need to do. They know, okay, Michael's told me that I need to save money for my kids' education, but this hurdle of, I need to get him information to do that, or I just don't have the time. It's getting over that initial hurdle to actually implement and move forward with the type of strategy. And I think that is incredibly important, just to get out of your own way and start somewhere, right? I don't expect that the first decision that you make or the first thing that you do is going to be the answer, right? Just know that just getting the ball rolling and starting is the most important part. So another action item for you is think about something that you can do today or this week and be proactive about it, right? So I'm not telling you not to buy whatever you want to buy. Think of it this way. Okay, if your goal is, if you're like, oh man, he's speaking to me about saving for my kids' education, and you've been thinking about that, call your financial advisor or Google RESP. How do I set it up? Do some small action today to push the ball forward. Don't expect that I'm going to get everything set up and done today, because it's that type of thinking that will make you not implement, right? So just think of small incremental things that you can impact to move towards completing and working towards that financial goal. And lastly is the journey. So this one, on the financial planning space, it's be proactive and monitor your financial plan. And here I'm just talking about the journey, right? The journey is the part that should be enjoyable. It should be. Thinking if all you're thinking about is that end goal, you're going to miss all of that good stuff in the middle. So enjoy the journey, because that's the longest part, right? That's the part that you want to be engaged in and happy with your decisions, and linking all these decisions back to your ethos, which is like, for me, it was, providing a better life for my family. For other people, it might be different, right? Enjoy that journey, because this is what you're building, and this is what you're working towards. Another one, celebrate those small victories, because they might not be so small, right? If it is sacrificing going to get Starbucks, hey, that might seem small, but it's in the grand scheme of things, when you do the math and you times that out over 10 years, that's a huge victory. That's a massive victory. So give yourself a pat on the back when you start doing those types of things. Okay, so we've covered off all of these. This is the generic wealth management approach, and then my kind of flavor into tying it into being a little bit more personal. And I started off with time being important and investing your time wisely. And I like this one here. It's always remember that time is the currency of a relationship, whether it's with yourself or with a spouse, whatever. Now, as a finance guy, let me break this down for you. Budget your days, weeks, months, and years. Don't put too much of this valuable currency into low return relationships. Invest your time in each other, diversify your activities, and allocate 100% of your quality time being present. When things get volatile, maintain your long-term focus and stay invested in each other. I've been told by some seasoned long-term relationship investors that consistency is key to a good return and a happy life. And I know this kind of speaks more to about a relationship. I said this at a friend's wedding. I was his best man. This is something I came up with. And I just think it ties so well when, again, money aside, time is the currency. And I work with a lot of older clients as well, who, again, it's like, I wish I had more time. And people end up using their money in the future to buy back more time, right? So just be aware of this as you go through the process of wellness, and whether it's financial or it's holistic, like what Tara's been talking about, is that time is the currency, and it's one of those things that act now. Be proactive and start working towards all these areas of true wealth and to wellness. Now, just before I relinquish control, I'm going to just pull up my worksheets. So I want to go through it quickly. I think I have some time. Yeah, I got 10 minutes, so I'll leave some time for some questions. Okay, so this should be your roadmap of what I've talked about today. So finding what your purpose is, what's your passion, what's your meaning of true wealth. I include some positive declarations in here, just as a way of kind of like uplifting your attitude as you go through this process to put yourself in a positive mindset. Envision the future you. So this doesn't have to be just financial. This could be your relationship with your spouse, with your mother-in-law, with whoever. Just think about different areas, aspects of your life, and envision the future version of yourself, and then start translating that into your true wealth goals. And again, this could be financial. It could be that education piece that I talked about. It could be something personal, right? And then how do these goals connect back to your original purpose? Develop a formula. Think of compromises, right? So think of little sacrifices that you can do today to better your wellness, whether that's, okay, I'm going to go for a 10-minute jog today, or I'm going to stop buying a certain thing, whatever it is. Implement incremental steps. Accountability, I know Tara talked about this. So whether it's a friend, family member, it's a financial planner, it's a growth coach, whoever it is who you think is going to be able to help you be accountable during these steps. A lot of us need that, and that's a very normal part of creating these types of plans. And then review periodically. You definitely want to make sure you're going back on a regular basis and taking a pulse on what you've been doing. Has it been working? Should I be changing things? Is everything still moving forward correctly? And then lastly, I just leave you with that approach that I talked about earlier on. So that sums it up for what I have to say. Hopefully there's some questions, or hopefully you learned something. Carly? Hello. Oh, there she is.
Maybe we'll give anyone a chance to type in any questions if they have any. You can do so now.
I will say too, you'll get our contact information and you'll get a link to book a call with us. So if you do have questions or you think of things after and you want to talk to us personally, you can always contact us that way too.
Awesome.
Michael, are you seeing the questions? So Gail.
Here we go. Okay, yeah. Thanks. A lot of info. Gail. So Gail Star asks, what do you do at the Global Gathering Place? I teach a money basics class. So it's kind of an introduction to finances in Canada, understanding the RRSP, tax-free savings account, the registered education savings plan, and really try to give a sense of the Canadian financial system and how newcomers to Canada can benefit from programs and stuff like that. So I have a question for both of you. Lynn took her question away. Gail asks, Sarkani, how do you make financial plans for the future when we are in a time of uncertainty with the stock market? Yeah, I mean, that's a really great question. Uncertainty is always going to be a part of the stock market. It's been a part of every generation's retirement plans. Pick a 2008 or the tech bubble or whatever it might be. A solid financial plan should take into account this type of volatility. It shouldn't, I'm going to get a little bit technical on you, but it shouldn't just be like a linear, like thinking about everything's always going to be hunky-dory. Your financial plan should factor in this type of uncertainty to ensure that if you are, let's say, a retiree, that you're still able to achieve that financial goal. So yeah, when it comes to risk in the stock market too, it really depends on your risk tolerance. So if you're a very conservative person, it probably never impacted you very much over the last 10 months. Whereas if you were very aggressive, that might have impacted you greatly. I hope that answers that, Gail. I could talk about an hour about that. Thank you. Okay, Lanny, I have a question for both of you. How to get over losing that dream job and moving towards a new goal. Tara, do you want to go on that one?
So honestly, Lynn, what we'd start with is what you have in those handouts is really just connecting again to who you are and what you want in your life and what's important to you, and then making a plan to take those steps forward. That's the most generic answer I think I can give.
Yeah.
But really, that's where it starts.
For sure. And I mean, that's such a big life transition. And I think it's emotionally and financially taxing. And I think I think at that point in time, then I think one thing I would suggest is just like reach out and talk to as many trusted people as you can, and try to get as many opinions and alternative ways of thinking of things when you're working towards that new goal. Just know that you're not alone. I think that's a big one, is just get a team of people to help you, friends, family, professionals, whatever it is. Joanne, staying in the moment, such a challenge. Appreciate the 2 templates that you provided, like how the 2 segments of your messages linked up. Hey, that's what we were going for. It worked. Thank you, Joanne. and Gail. Thank you both for sharing your wisdom and knowledge. You're welcome, Gail. We enjoyed it. I think that's all.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Tara and Michael, for the awesome presentation today. As I mentioned earlier, all of the attendees will receive an email tomorrow with a link to the recording, so keep an eye out for that. Our next webinar is next Wednesday on December 2nd, and it'll be the start of our 5-part legal series. Our first session is What is the right business structure for you? Registration for that is now open at wesk.ca/events. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye, everyone.